My name is Whitney.
I'm Braden.
This is Braden.
Oh,
Today we're going to talk about eating spiritually, but first we're going to touch on how our goals have been going.
yeah.
Do you want to start or you want me to start?
I think you should start.
Okay.
We gotta start on positive notes, you know. Really build everybody up.
You got to make it a positive sandwich.
Yeah.
So my goal was getting my sunflowers planted because I started gardening like 5 or 6 years ago, and I try to do that every spring, summer. And I got my sunflowers planted and got them all along the fence. I shared the pictures. I got them all along my fence, so I've got like these giant mammoth sunflowers growing.
That's exciting.
Sunflowers just became my staple. So if I don't do any gardening, I at least plant sunflowers because those are so low maintenance and they grow quick as long as you water them. It's not a lot to do.
I bet you haven't had to do a whole lot of watering with all this rain.
I've been trying to bank on the rain. That has been my biggest struggle, is maintaining my garden. I think after we talked about our goals, I think I got all my garden planted and done like Tuesday night right before we met up, and made sure to get that done. And I did it when the sun went down. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. It's not gonna take a lot. It's gonna make me happy. I'm gonna feel so much better once I get this done. I'm gonna see, you know, the benefit, the fruit of my labor. And planting it along my fence. Secret. I originally planted these giant sunflowers because I did not like my neighbor. Did not like my neighbor. My neighbor was nosy and wouldn't talk to me. I tried to talk to them and it was a fiasco. So my petty way of getting back was to plant these giant sunflowers that grow right along the fence between our houses. So I don't have to see her. She stopped looking in my yard and give something pretty for both of us to look at. And I've been doing it ever since. She doesn't live there anymore. So now it just makes everybody happy.
Do you get to do things with the sunflower seeds?
I try to collect the giant sunflower seeds because those are my favorite. They get huge. They get taller than like the rain gutters in my house. It's so exciting.
Do you have to put poles in there to help them support themselves?
I've tied strings around the bottom of it when they get really big and they start leaning. Sometimes the windstorms will blow them over. So this year I'm gonna try and get some actual plant stakes and tie some strings around it to keep them sitting up.
There's a lumber yard where you can get really cheap dowel rods, sharpen them, stab them in, and get them in almost any.
I also want to do the copper pole in my gardens.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
I would like to do that and have them strategically placed around. I try to wait until the evening to water them, and I try to tell myself, you gotta do this, come on. You wanna see those beautiful flowers, you need to water them. Oh, it says it's gonna rain, so I probably don't have to water them tonight.
I love it.
Oh, look, it rained. I don't have to water them. Well, it didn't rain quite enough, so I should go back. My tomatoes are looking a little sad. One of them is.
That sounds
But
fun.
I'm so excited to see how they come up. The ones around the edge of my driveway, I'm not so sure on. I really need to keep up on weeding them. This one. Yeah, I got mine done. Keep up on it.
I did not. I didn't get started on mine. Dropped the ball hard. Thought about it a lot. But didn't put any action into it. So, I didn't even download the
audio journal.
The audio journal. Didn't even put it in my lookup list. I dropped the ball hard. But I do know that really where I missed it was not setting myself up for success. For the writing portion of it, when I wanted to journal, I didn't bother to put the book out where I would see it, where I would feel accountable to use it, so there's dropping the ball, number one. Again, not looking for the app, but then just like recognizing what it is about journal writing that I really want to accomplish, and so these last couple of weeks I realized like I just want a place to be able to reflect on my headspace and be able to re-look at that. I think if I were to start with something easier that I've got to be held accountable for, it would be note-taking for this, what you call it, like, instead of just cramming it into my brain last minute and letting it sit there doing its thing, like actually writing down some notes. I think that makes me have to commit to 1 day a week instead of even 10 minutes a day, because even that feels like,
Yeah.
or 10 minutes of a day. So 1 day, something that I feel not obligated per se, but in the same right, like that's part of the responsibilities of doing the things. So that's something that I can work on, and not only that, but it will also go into that whole self-discipline for things that you may not like to do, even if it's a part of something that you enjoy doing, and being mindful of that, because if you allow those things that you don't like to do inside of the things that you enjoy doing, that can turn the tables and take one of your passions and just make it crash and burn. So it's really learning how to get out of the negative mindset of the thing that needs doing and finding that positive spin that.
So what's your reason for journaling again?
Self-reflection of my own headspace. I want to keep track of like how mindful and intentional I am throughout my day versus how much of it is just kind of lost in a stupor of actions.
So how can you better make this goal achievable? How can you maybe journaling?
I don't think journaling is the first step. I think
I
think it's just getting into the habit of actually having to write something. And me, myself, knowing how I am, I need something that's like tied to a responsibility in order to start said thing.
So if you make it around our Wednesday thing?
Well, yeah, if I like start with notes, and then notes could be like notes and 5 minutes of what I had going on in my day.
Since you already
before or
got
after.
pen and paper out?
Yeah, and you're already doing the things and start incorporating them. So it's just finding a smaller step, and there again, it seems really offhand to jump that direction, but it's just like, it's okay to jump around and figure out what's going to work for you, and it's okay to be off the wall and out of the box and seeing it not be connected. It's not about it serving that direct purpose as much as it is getting you to that purpose. It's part of recognizing how far away you actually are from the goal that you want to achieve, and having to step back past the beginning point of what you thought was the
why
beginning
you wanted to
point.
set the goal in the first place.
Yeah, well, and that can always end up changing. You think you know why you want to start a goal, and then you realize it's underlying things. It could be things that you guilt trip yourself on. It could be things that you're inspired to do. It could be something that your friend put into your head, and you feel like, yeah, it really connects with me. But like at the end of the day, until you really start trying to do the things and start thinking about why you are or aren't doing that particular thing, you're not really gonna understand your own goal.
I think I veered from my goal a little bit, listening to you talk about it.
How do we?
Well, why I set the goal in the first place. Like, I wanted to get my flowers done because I always do flowers. But originally, the reason I started gardening and planting flowers was because it's a form of meditation. So in a sense, I took my goal because I set it here and I knew he was struggling. I went home and I did my goal. I accomplished it and I put him down. And then the whole watering thing is like, I have to. Or like weeding. I gotta get those weeds, otherwise it's gonna pull the flowers down. But the whole reason I had that in the first place is because that time should be taken for me. It's me away from my phone, me away from the kids, me away from all the other things that pull on me.
Okay, yeah.
So I should take the time to go water my flowers and weed my garden because that's supposed to be me time.
That's you choosing you.
Away from my phone.
I love it.
But I just make it I gotta go water those flowers.
It's that whole perspective thing. I get it. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. Like, I gotta go write write about myself. That means I gotta think. I gotta have a fucking pen. And I know where all that stuff is. As I say it, I can picture where all of those things are. Like, I know where my pens, my pencils, my erasers, my sharpeners. It's all in one convenient spot. Yeah. Alright, so where are you guys at on your goals? What are you guys struggling with? Have you set goals? Have you stepped into that realm? Thought about it? Feel free to leave your thoughts.
Do you have any other tricks that work for you? Any ways that you manage your mind and yourself to get the things that you want done? You got this.
Yeah, I don't know what that one is. Yep.
So what are you going to do?
I'm going to start with making sure I have notes for my Switch account. Yep.
Next week, you're going to have notes.
Next week, I will have written or typed up notes. Probably written because it's easier than typing, in my opinion. Yeah, t-shirt.
I already forgot what we talked about last week.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Healthy confrontation. That's what we talked about last week. Yeah.
Healthy confrontation. And now we are stepping into eating spiritually.
Eating spiritually. Just wellness. Overall wellness. Setting goals and boundaries a little bit. And sometimes you gotta tell people no. Sometimes you gotta tell you no.
Sometimes you gotta step out of your comfort zone and tell people yes. Because that's where the growth happens.
Yeah.
But you know when you get to understanding when something is like actually for you and you're just like hesitant about stepping out of your shell, and when something's not for you and it's making you uncomfortable and you just gotta say no. You'll find that line.
Do you know how to listen to your body?
Sometimes.
You know, the little small voice or your intuition. Sometimes it shows up as weird feelings.
Yeah.
And you gotta reflect on what it is. So when it comes to spiritually eating, how do you eat? How do you view eating? Is it something that you have to hurry up and get done? Do you stress about having to cook? Or stressing about the preservatives or the other stuff in your food?
Or what you're gonna cook and who's gonna eat what? How many meals you're gonna have to make?
Yeah. So step one, I'd say, is listening to your body. Understanding the way that your body talks to you. And if you're not familiar with listening to your body, or yeah, we'll just go with listening to your body. I would say you need to experiment with it. The best way to get to know your own body and how to communicate with your body is by
asking questions.
Yeah, asking questions and experimenting.
So that means like start with your favorite foods, the ones that you know you like, and start breaking it down. What is it that you like about it? What are the feelings that you get when you're eating this food? You know, not only is like what are you getting mentally, emotionally, but like how is your body feeling about what you just ate? How does that correlate to your thoughts and your attitude and your outlook on what's going on for the day? Like,
yeah,
I know for me, when I cut bread out of one meal in the day, I have a lot more energy throughout my day. I don't feel so bogged down. I don't feel so heavy. You know, and that's like what? Oh, and that's like that's what's really, really hard about. It's a lot harder, I should say, to be able to pull bread, pastas, what have you, out of one meal a day than you realize. Like I didn't realize how much of it consisted in my diet. You know, like if I had pizza, a burger, fried chicken, or chicken strips, what have you, all in that same day. You know, you've got your breading, you've got your bread from your bun, you've got your dough from your pizza, and it's all really heavy stuff. And, you know, like, we don't have to go into the working out of it. It's just I feel heavy and bloated. But if I get rid of just one of those, I feel a significant difference. And then, you know, it ties into things like sushi. Sushi is something I really enjoy, and it literally makes my body smile. Like, feel it from the inside out. I am happy. I feel like it's clean energy. It's easily digestible. it's ready to use right now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love sushi.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to your body. Play with some things, you know. What time of the day do you eat?
Yeah, that's a good one.
What blood type are you? Are you a male or a female? What foods harm you? What foods help you?
Get
Play with it. Yeah, get curious.
You know, and if you don't want to entirely go that route, that feels too heavy, man, just start looking up the foods that you're eating. And we're not saying look up the preservatives on the back of the label, but we're saying, hey, you know, like, you went and you got yourself a salad, you've got tomatoes, onions, lettuce, and you notice the lettuce is an iceberg lettuce. Well, maybe you want to learn a little bit more about that lettuce. Where'd it come from? What's it?
Educate yourself.
Yeah, you know, get fascinated and interested with the food you eat, because you're going to come across not just the nutritional value, but the mystical ways that they help our body, or lost ways, should we say, not spoken, kind of taboo in a sense, but coming into the light. And just, yeah, man, childlike curiosity seems to be a big go-to for learning new things.
We're talking spiritual eating. Spiritually eating for your body. Your body is a temple. Your gut is like the heart of it all. Whatever food you take in affects the rest of your body, your mind, your eyes, everything. Let me put this out there. I despise diets because it skips the intuition. If you would like to go on a diet, by all means, do whatever makes you happy, makes you feel good. As far as spiritually eating goes, I would say spiritually eating goes more towards your intuition, following and listening to your intuition and what works for you. What intention do you have with eating?
Oh, can I challenge that a little bit?
Do it.
All right, so dieting has a bad rap because it is a get fixed quick scheme in most cases, right? Or it's a deficit of sorts, right? But now, if you are spiritually eating, mindful of what you're eating, what have you, and you recognize that you've overpartaken in something and you've eaten way too much meat in the last 2 weeks, you can feel it, what have you, then I would pose to say, if you were to take 3, 4, or 5 days off not having that in your diet, it is a form of dieting, but it's a healthy way, and it's to help manage.
But you're listening to your body. So when I think of diets, I think of the whole, you have to take all the carbs out. You can't have any carbs at all. Or, I don't know, is that keto? I don't know. Anyways, if we're going a carb-free diet, because it'll eat the fat out of your body, I don't know, however it works, and just no carbs. And one day you're really feeling it, you really want it, you're craving it, and you got to stop yourself because you can't, you're on a diet, you can't. Instead of listening to your body, you are stressing yourself out because you want something so bad that's normal, but you can't because you forced yourself to stick to a very strict regimen that isn't flexible to your body or your emotions or whatever else.
Then what if we looked at it in this light? So, where 95% of America is at right now anyway, with the diets that we have and the food that's offered to us. Well, and just but our own lifestyle choices with food, right? So in the beginning, if you will, dieting may be a part of the necessity, depending. And I'm not saying you got to start dieting before you can get anything else. But what I am saying is being mindful, doing the through spiritual eating, dieting will in a sense happen because there are things that you realize that you've overtaken in your diet.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, in the end of it will become a diet, but it's something that you're creating for yourself based on your needs, feelings, and intuition.
And it's to remember that dieting is never meant to be long term. Dieting is to help you to get to a specific spot that you'd like to get to, so you can carry on with making healthy life choices or healthy eating choices, what have you, right?
Yeah.
So it's not saying, oh, well, for example, for me, if I was really to get serious about my health and get super mindful about my eating, I would start with cutting sugar out because it's everywhere. Now, that doesn't mean completely cutting it out of my diet, but there's going to be a solid 2 to 3 month span where I'm going to have to wean myself to that point of a level of sugar intake that I'm okay with, right? So that's a solid diet to get yourself where you want, and then it's done. You don't have to use that anymore you'll find something in
I think
other
diets
spots.
are a good way to start learning about what works for you and how to create an eating regimen that is more intentional, for sure.
It's kind of like religion. It's a good starting place,
Yeah.
but not a place to like
Yeah,
get stuck in.
I feel like people
Fine,
get
okay,
lost in
sorry.
diets, and then I don't know, also kind of like religion.
Yeah.
You can't do this just because you can't. You can't. Like, well, I'm curious, so I'd like to know a little bit more about it. Well, you can't because it's bad. Don't. Like, well, let me play with it. No.
No. Nope.
Like, so
But you gotta
I
have a
don't
starting
know.
point.
They're
Yeah.
hard. And I feel like it really stresses you out when you tell yourself that you can't have something in such a strict manner, as opposed to
And using the
reflecting inwards and looking at. I mean, for starters, how do you view food and eating?
Yeah.
Like, having to eat fast, like you said, the lifestyle that we live in today's world is really fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's busy. There's phones everywhere, screens everywhere. Everything is pulling your attention a million different directions. So when it comes to eating, you are nourishing your body, your temple, and what you take in can become intentional. It should be intentional.
Well, and not only intentional, but like you can imbue intention. Like you can imbue your water with intentions.
Absolutely,
right?
yes. And
So-
that's what I was going to go off of. The way that you view it. When you start eating, if it has to be fast, because you have to get all this stuff done, regardless of how fast it is, you can take a couple seconds, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, to be intentional with your food.
to be in the moment.
In the
with your
moment
food.
with your food.
Yes.
For just a moment.
And appreciating what it's
The
doing
energy
for
that you put into the food you are about to eat is going to physically affect you after you eat it.
I got a great example of this. Last night I was cooking steak and I was not confident in it at all. I did not speak words of affirmation towards it at all. And I just felt very subpar. And the meal turned out, in my opinion, subpar. And hearing the podcast and now us talking about it, I realized, like, had I been more intentional, given the confidence that I know I could have with my food, knowing what it is I was really trying to put into it, it would have, in my own opinion, turned out better, regardless of how people feel about it from the start. So it's, I think it's safe to say, like, especially when it comes to food, when you're just starting out, whether it's cooking, it's meal prepping, you gotta give yourself a lot of grace and look at all the ups of your cooking, because it won't get better if you don't.
Meal prepping in itself is a form of being spiritual with it. You're intentional about the food that you're putting
Stresses
away.
me out. Well, not only that,
If
but
you are a prepper,
but you're also
can be.
like, you're choosing you when you're food prepping, meal prepping. You're like, all right, man, I got your back, not just for today, but for tomorrow, through the rest of this
Yes,
week. You are
yes.
handled. We're gonna give you stuff you like, things that were given with great intention. You don't have to think about it,
Yes.
taking the
Ugh.
guesswork out. So there's a lot of good that comes from it. Mine is the practicality or the technicality of, like, doing the things like, man.
you can make a more practical practice for spiritual eating.
Yeah.
So it doesn't interfere with all that you got going on.
For sure.
We cannot control all the crazy things that you have pulling you every which way that you have to do. The things that you can control is the intention that you put towards your food, how you handle your food, and honoring your food.
What emotions are you having while you're in the middle of eating said food?
We can't control the prices. We can't control the preservatives and all that stuff. I mean, you can control where you're picking it from.
For the most part, with wherever your budget's sitting at and whatnot, it's like, and that's just it, is like being able to do what is in your control, and that being enough. And when you're in that mindset of it being enough, more is given to you. It's that whole juxtaposition. The more you want it, the more you chase something, the farther it gets away from you. If you really want it, you've got to you just got to acknowledge and think that it's there. Think what you've got going on right now so that you can have more to get there. That's a wild thing. That's another topic. For sure.
Do you chew your food?
Ish.
Do you know how important it is to chew your food? Did you know that if you chew your food, well, you won't be so bloated? When you chew your food, your body doesn't have to break down the food as much. If you are quickly throwing it in your mouth and inhaling it, then your body has to work harder to break down the food, which makes you feel bloated. Yeah, and you're missing the taste.
Like,
enjoying your food, savoring what it is about to do for your body.
Yes.
I am so excited to eat this food because I know once I take it in, my body will be replenished and I'll feel better. My mind will be less foggy.
I had a burger.
This food is going to do so much for you, girl. Ooh, take it in.
I had an iced lettuce burger today, and the crunch and the juiciness, and like, I don't know, it was, the last bite was so amazing. I kept me from getting out of my seat for a solid 5 minutes. I was just like, I wish I had one more burger. Blew my mind. And that's a recent thing. I think this is like the third one I've had, and it's just, it slaps every time. I wish more places would do it.
When you take in your food, the food goes in your body and it turns into glucose. And then the glucose is shuttled into the cells as fuel. The leftovers are stored in the muscles as glycogen.
Damn.
It does so much for you. If you pay attention to the foods that you're taking in, and you watch your blood sugars, or you can just feel it. You can feel when your blood sugars are dropping. And you have been missing out on a meal for too long. You skipped breakfast. It's 3 o'clock. Ooh.
Yeah. I totally know what you mean. I totally know what you mean by that.
When your blood sugars are low, your muscles release the glycogen and convert it back into glucose to go back into the bloodstream to raise your blood sugars. All good stuff for eating. Affects you so much. This wind is ridiculous.
It's extra. I lost it. I had a brain thought and it disappeared.
Your emotions in your food. If you are an emotional eater, pay attention to that. If you are bored and you find yourself eating all the time, pay attention to that. We could become more intentional about how we eat. If you are craving stuff because you're bored, go for a walk.
And remember, it's not easy to break the habit of food. Like, food has got to be a huge addiction. Not to mention all the stuff that they put in it to make it that way anyway. But just at its core, like, it has become such a habit to turn to food for a lot of different reasons. It's become a subconscious thing, and it's part of because of how available food is. So being nice to yourself when you're starting out with telling yourself no, especially when it comes to food, because like it's easy to cave.
Ask yourself, why do you want it?
Yeah.
Am I bored?
Am I just eating because I'm bored?
Am I eating because I'm bored?
Yeah. Well, and then, if you're eating your feelings, like, you don't have to, like, not eat your feelings, but maybe train yourself to eat your feelings when you're feeling better about yourself instead of when you're feeling down and out. It'll at least change your perspective and allow you to be able to chase it in a different manner. And maybe it'll go from treating yourself to junk foods to treating yourself to good, yummy, healthy foods, what have you.
A lot of people struggle with consistent habits because they suppress their emotions. Or try to fix their emotions through impulsive behavior. So, allow yourself to have the emotions. Quit repressing them. Allow the emotions to pass and do what they do.
Sit with them and send them on their way.
Ask your body. Talk to your body. Ask it questions.
Do things.
These are all to make, for you to make a more practical practice for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be perfect.
Well, and the focus isn't so much food as much as your relation to food. It's
Yeah.
like spiritually eating really is about it's just another avenue of learning how to understand yourself and being able to get to that point of getting that mind-body connection to really solidify, which will help you in other areas. When you're eating healthier, you have more energy, you have more positive thoughts. You're probably going to the gym or doing some form of physical exercise, which gives you the endorphins you need. Not to
And
mention,
it doesn't have to be a gym.
well, and more often than not, it gets you outside. That gets you your sun. That's your vitamin D. That's your feet to the ground is grounding. Like, you know, whether you want to start in the spiritual realm, you want to start in the physical realm, whether it's in your head or with your body, whether it's what you're eating or what you're doing, you know, all of these avenues are really great start points. It's really just figuring out which one helps get the motorboat going the best, and then
Starting is
branching
always
out.
the hardest.
It is. So don't be afraid to poke around and find something that really does work. It doesn't have to be a set schedule regimen. It's not somebody's podcast that's going to instantly enlighten you to be able to change in an instant. The best change happens at very small intervals, but those intervals get quicker and you get better, and as you get better, as you bring new things into your life, you can take bigger steps because you've already done the little steps so many times. You're like, I don't need to do all these.
It's practice.
Yeah, practice makes perfect.
It's practice. That's why it doesn't need to be perfect. We're figuring out what works.
Well, and think about this. Like, we are creators, right? Like, we get to create our own reality, which means we get to create ourselves. We get to create our circumstances. We get to create the things that come into our lives, and it all just depends on what choices we decide we want to make, which ones we can really choose for ourselves.
What resonates with you? What works for you? What doesn't? Don't do that.
And don't shy away from the things that you don't like. Don't shy away from the things that you feel guilty about. Don't shy away from the things that make you feel like less of a person. Those are the things that need acknowledgement. And they need your love. They need your attention. They need your grace. Because those are the things that are going to keep you from being able to make permanent change. That's something that I realized in the last couple of years.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm getting to that. So, like, in the last couple of years, I have been... So, up until I was 30 years old, it was always work, grind hard, try to save money, can't ever save money, trying to do this, trying to find different ways to save money. Then in these last couple of years, I've switched my focus over from trying to keep my job that makes really great money, trying to make things happen, I started focusing on, well, what triggers me? What makes me feel this way? You know, I want a better relationship with money. If I'm ever going to save it, it doesn't matter how much of it I have if I don't fix the issues that lead up to that. Oh, so that means going back to a time when I didn't feel like I had control over my money, so I felt like I had to get rid of it before somebody else got their hands on it. You know, and that perpetuated. So I had to learn. I had to start there. And then, so now I'm at a point where I feel like my money saving habits have a better success rate, will have a better success rate, do have a better success rate, because I've done the foundational work to be able to do that. You know, so if you're seeing that you're trying to create habits that just aren't sticking, it's probably because there's something that you're not addressing that has to do with how you feel about yourself.
You know, I watch a lot of TikTok, and I watch Bashar's videos a lot. And a lot of Bashar's videos, when he talks about stuff, people ask him questions for enlightenment, and then like, wait, that doesn't make sense because I do this and it doesn't work. And he'll point out to them in these crazy ways that there's something that you are holding on to that's keeping the goal that you're trying to achieve from happening because you find it important. Too important to let go of.
Yes, and it's self-sabotage. You don't even realize it.
So what is it that is making this so difficult that you can't complete it? What belief are you holding on to that won't let you complete it?
Yep. And if it's not belief, it's like, well, I guess it all ties to a belief, what you believe, your perception.
What you believe you can and can't do.
Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah, that's where it's at. That's you've got to be willing to really find that ground that's really going to open you up to be able to make all those other things. Traumas are a great place to start. And they don't even have to be the big ones. Do the small ones, the ones that just irk you.
I'm all about rewards. I feel like I'm really reward driven.
Well, but think about it. Like,
I think of it as a reward.
Yeah.
So when, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought again. You're doing this for you.
Yes.
So the reward is what you're doing for yourself. So I'm going to treat myself. It might not be the candy bar, but I'm going to go get that bowl of fruit because I'm going to feel so good. It's going to do so much for me. This is what it's going to do
Start
for
with
me.
your favorite fruit and work your way to other ones.
I'm going to eat these beans because my body needs it and blah, 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 blah. And it's going to do so good.
Just simply craving it. And it sounds like a good treat.
I don't like the gym, though.
I
hate the gym.
The gym is its own
the
thing.
working out thing.
It's a perspective.
It has to be.
It's a perspective thing.
It's got to be a leisure activity for me. We're going on a hike, all right?
You gotta remember.
It's gonna be fun.
like,
We're gonna look at nature. We're not gonna sit on a treadmill or lift
everything-
weights.
But everything is perspective driven, right? So like when you're looking at the gym, you're seeing it as a has to. You have to
Too
go
many
there and
people
do
there.
things. And that's its own horse for sure. Yeah. Like mine is the mind-body connection. That's really what got me into the
I'm
gym.
gonna take me for a walk, girl. Let's go.
Yeah. Mine was like, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna go see how my muscles react to the different weights that I'm picking up. Like what muscles am I using? What muscles am I not using? What muscles can I use? Is my posture right?
You know something else you can do with food and spiritually eating? Food is something that always gathers people. People gather around dinner tables. You have family dinners. You got special events like 4th of July dinner or
Weekend
barbecues.
Potlucks.
Those are a ritual in themselves. And you can make your family gathering or friend gathering, whatever, intentional. You don't have to do it with everybody. But as you're preparing the food, you can be intentional with the food that you're preparing.
And I would like to state on that note, I agree a little bit differently than this podcast lady on that subject. I think if you are putting intention into your food, you are basically making it medicine. Like if you're celebrating somebody's success at college, for example, you could imbue that food with a lot of like positive affirmations that are going to help push that future, right? So like I think you can.
And there's ingredients you can use to
and as long as you're letting the peoples know, like, hey,
make it magical.
Like I put my own magic in this, so when you partake, this is and it's for everybody, But that's neither here nor there. We all have our own little quips about words. And I think that like part of that is putting love into your food. Like when you put love into food, it's not going to just show in one way. It's going to show in a way that person that you're preparing it for understands it best. So it'll be different with everything.
Yeah.
But I like it. And then on top of that, that whole little thing is, it's also been scientifically proven that when you speak to your food, that it changes. Like for example, plants. If you're taking your lettuce and you're just chopping it up, you're not giving it any intention. You're not telling it thank you for the purpose that you're using it for.
On a cellular level,
it affects you in a negative way. Like that plant screams. We just can't hear it because it's too high for us to hear. But it's traceable. It's been proven. So
it's been proven with water. There's scientific evidence for that, and I can post some of the links and some of the pictures.
But this food, the moment you speak to them, it stops. It understands. It's not screaming anymore. It has purpose. Like it's a wild thing to comprehend. Wow. Brings Sausage Party to a whole new life. Even though it's such a terrible show.
That's not related.
But it's
inappropriate.
It's talking food, okay? That's all I'm saying.
That's not spiritual food.
Not even a little
That's
bit.
lewd food.
Lewd food. That's good stuff.
What kind of energy would that food give you? Like spiritual energy? I don't know.
Tensions are everything. Like having a talk with your food before you eat. All right, now listen here, mister. I'm about to eat you. No funny business. I can see that.
I've been practicing being intentional with the food that I take in. I have a very sensitive stomach as of lately, and I have done some research about the foods that I can take in, and I found here in town on Broadwater Avenue there is a place called Boston Tea Harbor, and the lady that runs that place, is freaking amazing. Oh my gosh, if you ever have any ailments that you don't need like antibiotics for,
I love
I would absolutely 100% go visit her at this tea shop. She sells this book, 20,000 Secrets of Tea, and they share all the different things that they can do for you, be used for. And I also got this other cool little nifty thing from her by going there for my stomach. The first question she asked me was, what blood type are you? And apparently there's all sorts of foods based on your blood type that are good for you and bad for you. So I got blood type A, and all the good things are in green and all the bad things are in red. So I've been more intentional about what I'm putting in my body and what's good for me, what helps me, what harms me. So I know that if I take in like potatoes, for example, those mess me up. Those sweet potatoes are a little bit better, but not as great. Ginger's great for me. Certain fishes. I've got a list of all sorts of things that I can take in that would make my body feel better, do better things for my body, rather than continue taking in the things that I enjoy because they taste good, knowing that they're going to harm my body.
Gosh, that would be so cool. I wish I knew my blood type. That'd be a great starting point for healthy eating, because it's just like, it's not even like do's and don'ts as much as like, well, you know, like, you want to know that it's like scrolling in a video game through the inventory list of things you want to buy and how it affects you. Like,
Yeah.
Some serious
Yeah.
Skyrim stuff right there. I love it.
And then just having this little book has been amazing. Be more intentional about, well, I like using tea as,
Just practically an apothecary over there.
well, yeah. I like using tea as like my coffee or a stress relief. So in the middle of my day, in the beginning of my day, I'll make a cup of tea and use specific herbs that will help make me feel better in the morning. If I'm feeling groggy, I'll grab some things that'll help clear out my head. If I'm feeling stressed out, I'll put a little bit of chamomile or something else in there that'll bring my stress levels down. And just knowing that I'm making something that is going to make me feel the way that I want to already makes me feel that way before I drink it.
So, like, that would be like a good alternative for those
Caffeine?
of us. Well, for those of us who like to eat our feelings.
Yeah.
When you realize how you're
There you
feeling
go.
and why
Oh my
you want to eat, you can be like, all right, well, this ties in with what these herbs do, which will, you know.
I'll just
so,
sit and think on this for a minute
Okay.
over a cup of tea.
Yeah. What kind of tea am I gonna have today? Well,
Yeah, how am I feeling today?
I love it.
So what are we going to eat based on how I'm feeling today? To make me feel better the way that I want to. We need to take in some carbs because we feel like we're tired, or you know, whatever cravings you have. If you're craving salty stuff, that's usually because you're lacking water or electrolytes, or you're stressed out. If you're craving sweets and carbs, it's usually because your body needs energy, or you may need some more calories, complex carbs.
Probably been doing a lot of thinking.
Maybe you need some rest. Fatty foods, you might need more fat-soluble micronutrients. So be more intentional about which fatty foods you're eating.
Well, and then like you know, like when you're waking up and you want to know, you want to feel a certain way, you can look that up online. Just get on the Googles and be like, what kind of foods promote these feelings? What kind of food promotes these feelings? And you'll get a list, and you can get creative and be like, ooh, I haven't tried this.
Playing and experimenting.
Or,
Find
ooh, I
what
really
works for
like
you.
this. Yeah. No, that's really all I have.
Spiritually eating, spiritually living for wellness.
Well,
Overall wellness of your mind, body, and soul.
yeah.
Go visit Boston Tea Harbor. She's so awesome.
And be nice to yourself.
Yeah, give yourself grace.
Yep. And that's all our Super Short Show.
All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for today. Come see us next Wednesday. Thanks for showing up.
7 o'clock. Be there, Bruce Square.